Brahmana Uvacha. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.10.9. Brahmana Uvacha. Tvayoditam yattam avipralabdham bhartuh same syad yadi vira bhara gandhuri yadi syad adhigamya madhva piveti rasho navidam pravadaha. Brahmana Uvacha. The learned Brahmana Jadabharat spoke. His name is not Bharat. What is his name? Bharat. Bharat means descendant or something related to Bharat. Is Bharat. It's not Jadabharat, it's Jadabharat. Tvaya, by you, Uditam, explained, Vyaktam, very clearly, Avipralabdham, without contradiction, Bhartuh, of the bearer, the body, Taha, that, may, mine, Syat, it would have been, Yadi, Yadi, if, Veera, O great hero Maharaj Rahugana, Bharah, a load, Gantuh, of the mover, also the body. Yadi, if Syat, it had been, Adhigamyam, the object to be obtained, Adva, the path, Piva, very stout and strong, Iti, thus, Rashav, in the body, Na, not, Vidam, of the self-realized persons, Pravadaha, subject matter for discussion. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: The great Brahmana Jadabharat said, My dear king and hero, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. Actually, these are not simply words of chastisement, for the body is the carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me, for I am the spirit soul. There is no contradiction in your statements because I am different from the body. I am not the carrier of the palanquin, the body is the carrier. Certainly, as you have hinted, I have not labored carrying the palanquin, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong, and these words are befitting a person who does not know the distinction between the body and the soul. The body may be fat or thin, but no learned man would say such things of the spirit soul. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, I am neither fat nor skinny. Therefore, you are correct when you say that I am not very stout. Also, if the object of this journey and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me but to my body, there is no trouble at all. Please repeat. The great Brahmana Jadabharat said, My dear king and hero, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. Actually, these are not simply words of chastisement, for the body is the carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me, for I am the spirit soul. There is no contradiction in your statements, because I am different from the body. I am not the carrier of the palanquin. The body is the carrier. Certainly, as you have hinted, I have not labored carrying the palanquin, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong, and these words are befitting a person who does not know the distinction between the body and the soul. The body may be fat or thin, but no learned man would say such things of the spirit soul. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, I am neither fat nor skinny. Therefore, you are correct when you say that I am not very stout. Also, if the object of this journey and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me, but to my body, there is no trouble at all. So, we will go to the purport. Just see the sarcastic comments he made, which he is referring to in this verse. Yeah. He said, this is what he said actually. So the sequence of events is that Jadabharat was, he's acting like he's dumb and deaf. Not deaf, dumb, and dumb in the head as well. So he was acting like that. So somebody just called him to carry the king, the palanquin of the king. So he was one of the four men carrying, and he was awkward in his movement because of the ants, which he did not want to step over. So the king, instead of directly first chastising, he said sarcastically these comments. He says, Aho kashtam bhratur vyaktam uru parishranto dirgham adhvanameka eva uhivan suchiram nati piva na samhananango jarasa chopadruto bhavan sakhe no evapara ete sanghattina iti bahuvipralabdhopyavidyaya रचित द्रव्य गुण कर्माशय स्वचरम कलेवरे वस्तुनि संस्थान विशेषे हम ममेति अनध्यारोपित मिथ्या प्रत्ययो ब्रह्मभूत स्तूष्णीं शिबिकां पूर्ववदुवाह. So King Rahugana told Jadabharat, how troublesome this is, my dear brother. You certainly appear very fatigued because you have carried this palanquin alone without assistance for a long time and for a long distance. So you have carried, he said, palanquin without assistance. Because actually there was assistance. Three people were carrying other than him. But he sarcastically said like this, oh, you're carrying alone. Oh, how much trouble, You're really working hard. You seem to be very fatigued. Nobody is helping you. Besides that, due to your old age, because he was young, due to your old age, you have become greatly troubled. My dear friend, I see that you are not very firm nor very stout and strong. Aren't your fellow carriers cooperating with you? So, in this way, King criticized Jadabharat with sarcastic words. Yet, despite being criticized in this way, Jadabharat had no bodily conception of the situation. He knew that he was not the body, for he had attained his spiritual identity. He was neither fat, lean, nor thin, nor had he anything to do with a lump of matter, a combination of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. He had nothing to do with the material body and its 2 hands and legs. In other words, he had completely realized his spiritual identity, Aham Brahmasmi. He was therefore unaffected by the sarcastic criticism from the king. Without saying anything, he continued carrying the palanquin as before. Now here, it is said that, he did not pay much attention to what he said, right? All those words of criticism. He was unaffected. He was materially unaffected, but it is not that he did not listen to what he said. In fact, now he is replying to what he said, point for point. And he did not do it in an argumentative way, but he took it in a spiritually beneficial way. This is a Very good example how chastisement should be taken. So we'll read the purport of today. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that one who is advanced in spiritual knowledge is not disturbed by the pains and pleasures of the material body. The material body is completely separate from the spirit soul, and the pains and pleasures of the body are superfluous. The practice of austerity and penance is meant for understanding the distinction between the body and the soul. You see this point? The practice of austerity and penance is meant for understanding the distinction between the body and the soul. We do tapasya. Not that because we do tapasya, not that we do tapasya to, undergo some hardship. No. If we think it is hardship, that means we have not really realized we are not the body, right? Like we fast, we become hungry, we feel hunger. It is actually meant for us to remind that we are not this body, so reduce the bodily demands and engage in the activity of the soul, which is bhakti. But we think it is hardship because voluntary hardship, because it is troublesome if we identify with the body. So only when we identify with the body, it becomes troublesome. Otherwise, it's not. So in the beginning, of course, we do identify with the body, even though we are not the body. So that is why tapasya, appears difficult. So anyway, this is a very good point here. Practice of austerity and penance is meant for understanding the distinction between the body and the soul, and how the soul can be unaffected by the pleasures and pains of the body. Jada Bharat was actually situated on the platform of self-realization. He was completely aloof from the bodily conception. Therefore, he immediately took this position and convinced the king that whatever contradictory things the king had said about his body did not actually apply to him as a spirit soul. So, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Jada Bharat is teaching us many things in this one verse. So the first thing is that, as we have seen the sarcastic words of King Rahugana, who chastised Jada Bharat. So now Jada Bharat is giving a very intelligible reply, a very coherent reply. Actually, the Rahugana did not make sense when he spoke like that. It is offensive in fact. It was offensive. But Jadabharat, being merciful, wanted to help the king. He was accused of not carrying the king properly. But now he is taking the responsibility of carrying the king back to Godhead. So the Guru, like Prabhupada said, you hold on to my dhoti, I will take you back to Godhead. So the Guru is not interested in being a chauffeur for us to, like a taxi driver here, and he wants to take us, pilot us back to the spiritual world. So he took this opportunity to carry the king back to the spiritual world. So what he did here, that words of chastisement of King Rahugana. Now, Rahugana was not, although he thought he was not superior to Jadabharat. A person who can chastise is a person who is superior. A person who can chastise is a person who is superior, not the inferior. Now, he thought he was a superior, but he was not. But Jadabharat, humble that he was, he took those chastisement, the words of chastisement, and did not retaliate. From that, we can understand how we should think, even when we are chastised by not only a senior, but even a complete non-devotee for that matter. Okay. At the same time, he did not just stay humble for his own good. He also preached to Rahugana and changed him, although he did not ask for it. Preachers of Krishna consciousness, they go about their duty unsolicited. Nobody asks them for help. They go to help. They are prepared to hug the cactus. They are prepared to embrace the cactus. Embracing is an act of love, but the cactus will, you embrace the cactus. So they're willing to do that. That is called Titikshavaha and Karunika. They know it is going to prick, but still they will do it for their benefit, for the benefit of the fallen souls. So now Rahugana, this was the first time that Jadabharat displayed his intelligence in this life. So, one may ask, well, he was mistreated so many times. This was not his first time that he was mistreated. Why did he not preach then and why now? Well, Vaishnavar Kriyamudra Vigyahana Bujhoy. What is that? 10:20:36. Girayo mumuchustoyam kvachin namumuchuh shivam yatha jnanamritam kale jnanino dadatena va. During this season, the monsoon season, the mountains sometimes release their pure water and sometimes did not. Just as expert in transcendental science sometimes give the nectar of transcendental knowledge and sometimes do not. They remain silent. Yeah, here also it is mentioned. Yeah, sometimes they're silent, you see. So, anyway, if Rahugana became devotee, then there are many people under him because he is the king, no? Then his policies run the state. So in one shot, he can make the entire kingdom Krishna conscious. He spoke to Rahugana. And he started off by addressing his sarcastic comments. Now, usually we would respond in a different way, right? We would retort back with a tit for tat sarcastic comment. But here you see how this Jadabharat made sense of the nonsense of Rahugana. So he said, "Oh, you are carrying this alone. And because Rahugana was referring to the body, yeah, yes, the body is carrying. The soul is not carrying anything. So, and the load carried by the body does not belong to me. For I am the spirit soul. There is no contradiction in your statements because I am different from the body. So, because he said, oh, you're carrying this alone with no assistance. Yeah, body is carrying. I am not the carrier of the palanquin, the body is the carrier. And certainly, as you have hinted, I am not labored carrying the palanquin, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong. Yes, soul is not stout and strong. Right? It is not skinny, fat, stout and strong. Then, also, if the object of this journey and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me but to my body, there is no trouble at all. So, in this way, he started his spiritual instruction. Now, here we can understand few things. Even if we are when we are insulted, especially, there are many verses that say, Tulya ninda stutir mauni, santushto yena kena chit, 12th chapter. Tulya, what is that? Stutir Tulya ninda. Yeah, Tulya ninda stutir mauni. Stuti means glorification. Ninda means insult. So mauni means, and of course he is mauni, he is silent. Tulya ninda stutir. That means insult and praise. He is equipoised. What does that mean? Does he not hear what is being said about him? Does he simply ignore? Well, externally he may. Externally he may ignore. Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Yada te moha kalilam jantur vyatitarishyati tada gantase nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. Now, what is this indifference? When we hear words of praise, input has gone, the words have entered the ears, and if he spoke in a language which is understandable by the person, then you have also processed the meaning of what he said. So, how to stay indifferent to that now? How to stay indifferent? So, materially, we should understand that first of all, this is not addressing me, especially insult. And praise, if there is any praise, immediately it is offered to the spiritual master, the superiors, the devotees. Because whatever we are able to do in spiritual life, it is only because of the guidance of superiors. The devotees, the spiritual master, the predecessor acharyas, and the shastra. This is our guidance. And we are just following the recipe and we are getting success. So the only credit, if at all, is that we are following the recipe properly, as it is, without adulterating the recipe, not inventing, trying to be innovative. We are not being innovative. So that is the only credit if we have. So that is simply honesty, and that's not real credit. I mean, that's what we should do for our own good. Otherwise, if we don't follow the recipe, we will have a black, like instead of fried rice, we will have a burnt rice. Who will suffer? I have to eat, no? I will suffer. So we have to follow the recipe for our own good. And if we do that, that's good for us. It's not even something to be praised for. That's how we should take it. So all credit goes to the person who has given the recipe, the spiritual master. And insult. If you get insult, words have entered the ear, entered the mind, entered the heart. Now, how to stay indifferent? We have to process those words. Of course, people will say many things meaningless because they are in ignorance. Like, Jesus Christ. He said, oh, forgive them, they do not know what they're doing, when they were crucifying him. That is one thing. Another thing is self. for oneself, he thinks he deserves such criticism. Uh, Not that, oh, I am perfect. Yes, and he will, if possible, use those words for his own advantage, to his own advantage. Like how Jada Bharat is showing. Oh, you're not very stout and strong. Oh, old man, you're suffering, carrying alone. How much suffering you're undergoing. I almost feel sorry for you. Almost, he spoke like that. But actually, he was just sarcastic, right? So then he took out spiritual meaning from that. So we can process the chastisement from our superiors. Of course, here is not superior. But when we when we are chastised, or sometimes Krishna chastises us by how life happens, right? Sometimes we are proud of something and it is snatched away from us by will of providence. So that is chastisement. We may lose our loved one. That is chastisement by the Lord, by the forces of nature, Maya. So we are being chastised anyway. Tapatraya. Whether by self-inflicted misery, or by others, or by the forces of nature, demigods, who are under the control of Krishna directly. So we are anyway being chastised all the time. In fact, Maya's business is to only chastise and nothing else. The so-called dashas of our life where we don't have Shani Dasa, they are they are like illusory relief from real suffering. But actually, the fact that we have a material body, this body is a proof of chastisement. This is chastisement. We're not supposed to have this. So we are being chastised all the time. So now we need to know how we should process that chastisement. Many times we don't have a choice but to tolerate, especially the matra sparshastha kaunteya, shita ushna, sukha dukkha agama payano anityas tam stitikshasva bharata. The examples given in that verse are all adhidaivik. Because you know why? You cannot do anything about it. If it's adhibhautik, you will try to retaliate, thinking you have agency in the matter. You know what's agency? That means you think you have a say, you have a way to change. Instead of tolerating, I can change something about this. Matra sparshastha kaunteya, shita ushna, sukha dukkha daha, agama apayana. Agama means appearing, apayana means disappearing, non-permanent, anitya, tam stitikshasva bharata. So these are all adhidaivik. When you cannot, if somebody passes away, if somebody kills, you will, try to take a case on him. If he gets killed by a lightning bolt, you will take a case against Indra. Can't. Your law is deficient. You cannot do anything to Indra. So you will just accept it as fate and just cry only and go on with life. So maturity is when we can tolerate even the adhibhautik and adhyatmic miseries. Adhidaivik, we have no choice anyway. But even adhidaivik, we react not in a retaliatory manner, but cry or take credit when it is not due. Like, recently there was a podcast episode, and he was saying he had this different outlook on life, basically intellectual person, but his premise, his foundation of his very thought, the entire thought process is built on this foundation. What is that? Your DNA is so unique that from the moment the universe started 13 billion years ago, according to them, 13 billion years ago, until now, there has never been a living being in the entire universe with the same DNA as you. And you know what? There will never be. You are so unique. Think about that. I was like, okay, so why are you taking credit for that? You did not create this. Give the credit where it's due, na? Give it to God. Why are you, oh, I'm so unique, I'm so special. Why are you special? Huh? You did not create anything there. You were just given it as a term of tenancy. Who is the creator? Why are you taking the credit? Yes. Therefore, glorify the Lord. You create a Tesla car, millions of Teslas looking the same. Only the number plate is different, To make it different, there's a number plate. So otherwise, it's the same you are producing. You do not have a factory that can produce custom-made, tailored body. Here it is. And he does not need one singular factory where everything is coming out from. No. You create one Tesla, two Teslas, the Tesla will produce more Teslas. You can create, you cannot. So now they're trying with AI something to produce something out of its own. But it has to be guided so much. You see how Krishna is doing. So give the credit where it's due. There is so much complexity is there in the creation, and you're thinking you are special. This is Adhidaivik. It is Adhidaivik. It is not Karmana Daiva Netrana. This is Adhidaivik. So why are you taking credit? So, of course, it is given based on our past actions, but that's where our agency ends. Next is the Lord who has to make the arrangement through the demigods. So all credit should go to him. So the premise itself is wrong. I was not interested in the entire three more hours that he was speaking earlier. Turn it off. Because apparently, he had a unique thought process. I wanted to see that to counter it with our Krishna concept. But his first point itself was gone. Not so interesting. So anyway, so this is what people, Adhidaivik, when not only that, they think, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so talented. Who gave you the talent? How gave you that beauty? You did not choose, you did not create that beauty. Why are you taking the credit? And even if you did something, oh, I am a self-made man. I worked hard. I came from nothing. Now I'm something. Good. But then you need to have brain to do that. Who gave you the brain? Rented brain, no? It is a rented brain. So we cannot really take credit for anything if we really look at it. So why are we taking credit? And when something goes wrong, insurance company will say, act of God, man. Don't claim it from me. You claim it from him if you want. It's an act of God. So they use Adhidaivik in this way. But you know what? You cannot do anything about that. Whatever you are given by Adhidaivik means, you cannot do anything about it. Whether it's suffering or whether it's a benediction, whether it's beauty, whether it's ugliness, whether it's knowledge, intelligence or lack of it, you cannot do anything about it. Your given circumstances. Now, with Adhibhautik, we think we have agency. And that's where our karma we become entangled in karma. Why? Because, he gave me pain. I should give him pain. Well, he gave you pain because you deserved it, because something you did in your past life, something you deserve. Now, if I do tit for tat, then I am sowing a new seed of karma. I have to pay for it. So, this is a problem. So Adhibhautik is very difficult to tolerate. And when they say harsh words, they say something very harsh. Well, death is harsher than anything. If somebody kills our near and dear, we have to retaliate. In fact, that is the Shastric injunction as well. Aggressors we have to kill. But if demigods kill out of earthquake, lightning, storm, tornado, we cannot do anything. So now we have to take it, this tatteno kampam susamikshama, bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam, hridvag vapurbir vidadhan namaste jivetayo muktipade saddaya bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So the devotee sees like this, that everything that is miserable is a fitting punishment that the Lord is giving me for all my sinful activities. In fact, I should be punished way more than this. The Lord is kind enough to give me only a token punishment, just to remind me of all the mistakes I have done and not to repeat them again. So it is His blessing that He is punishing me. So that's how we should take. And even these words of chastisement, Jadabharat took them as blessing. That does not mean we take every materialist chastisement as blessing and stay humble. No. Personally, we should stay humble. Yes, we should take those chastisement words, and that's the reason why a brahmachari goes out to beg. Because when he begs, he will be chastised, he will be ridiculed, all this, and that will humble him up. And that's good for him. So it's a way of training to beg alms and bring it to the spiritual master. And after all those cursings and chastisement, he collects all that and he's not going to earn it, and not a single penny from that. Give everything to the guru. Why am I doing this? So that's when we develop humility. That's when we develop tolerance. And that's how we can actually navigate through life. Because we will be chastised by all the three means: adhyatmic, adhibautik, adhidaivic. Your own mind will sometimes kill you. Chastise you like anything. Yeah. So, and also, bodily diseases, whatever. So it is, you have to tolerate. And this humility, this is not child abuse. Of course, if the guru is like cruel and does uncalled for things, that's a different thing. Such history is also there. But we're talking about proper training where he is trained to do like this. It's not child abuse. It is actually, that is what will guarantee, or at least make it highly probable for that person to not abuse the system set up by the Lord. Because he's going to be the part of the future of the world, right? The future generations. Varna Sankara, if they come out Varna Sankara, then whole situation becomes a problem for the world. So therefore, they have to be trained up from the beginning. And this is part of the training. And if we tolerate, so much of the world's problems can be easily solved. We think, many times I said this, we think an innovative solution to a problem is a sign of advancement. It is praised. Oh, it is difficult for you to cook. I can understand. Both of you are working, yeah. Home delivery, we have option. So it looks like an innovative solution. Yeah, you can make money out of it. And it is praised as a business model. But to tolerate and actually rewire ourselves and make the focus not simply financial growth in the family, and if we can work for enough for maintenance, and then the rest of the time maybe one person can stop working, and then actually make time for spiritual advancement. That is a better answer, actually. That is the actual solution. But we want to fix our already faulty lifestyle with more faults, making it more and more convenient. Material convenience is taken as the benchmark of advancement. So, but that's not. Tolerance is actually the answer. One may question, what is this? God is coming all the way down and he said, just titikshasva bharata, what is this? I have problems, I want to submit so many problems to God, and this is his answer. Because many people come to God. I have this problem, please take care of me. If God says, tolerate. And Krishna said that. If you read Bhagavad Gita, that's what he said, tolerate. Is that even an answer? What can, he's so capable, why is he telling me to ask me to tolerate? So, what kind of solution is that? But think about it. If you tolerate and go about your business of Krishna consciousness, you will save so much distraction. Valuable time. Time is the same every day for everyone. Our priorities make our time enough or not enough for spiritual advancement. So, our priorities, if we change, instead of making my priority the destruction of the other person, if I make my priority, that's it. When I hate someone so much, it does not affect him anything. It does not affect him at all. It affects me. He's not affected by your hatred unless you actually do something. And then he may feel something. But all this while you are tormented. So hate torments the hater, not the hated. So and even affection torments the affectionate person. It's a little bit more difficult to understand, but if we become too much attached to anything in this world, then the problem is at the time of death, we will think of that person, and then so we can't be detached, especially to one's family. We should become very much attached to devotees, though, because if we are thinking of devotees, then we can. Oh, my wife is devotee, Prabhu. I'll think of her. You're thinking of her because she's a devotee or because she's a wife. So it depends. So attachment is very subtle. What are we attached to? So, so attachment means we have to be attached to the devotees. So affection kills us, hatred kills us. Kills us means our spiritual advancement. So therefore, we have to be anapeksha. We have to be nirashir. We have to be in the means. What? In the sense, we should not have any asha. Any asha bandha. The asha is bandha. Asha bandha. So this hope of happiness in this material world is actually a trap. It's a trap. So therefore, when insult means our ego is hurt. So as when we become more and more spiritually advanced, it turns from tolerance to, tolerance is when you feel the pain and you are, withstanding the pain. But when a person is very advanced, he does not feel the pain. You may think he's thick-skinned. Actually, he's not. He just doesn't bother because it doesn't concern him. But at the same time, he will very much take the opinions very seriously of people who are spiritually advanced. Like he did not take the chastisement of Rahugana very seriously. In fact, he wanted to correct him. But a disciple, he takes the chastisement of his guru very seriously. It's not that, now motivational speakers will say, oh, don't let them judge you. Be yourself. So what if I'm a rapist? Nobody should judge you. Nobody should give you a prison sentence or life sentence or death sentence. Be yourself. Rape more. What is it? I mean, stupidity. This is stupidity. So it is not. And you know what's the most popular show? America's Got Talent. Where there are 4 judges sitting there, giving yes or no, and golden buzzer. What is that? And that's the most popular show, where people are judged for every single performance. So we cannot be without judgment. We can say, oh, don't allow yourself to be judged. You are judged already. You have no agency in the matter. You have no freedom in that matter. You are judged by Yamaraj. For everything that we are doing, we are judged. Everything is noted and we are judged. So if the devotees judge us and we allow ourselves to be judged by devotees, proper devotees, not idiots in the garb of devotees. So then, yes, then we will benefit. When materialistic people criticize or chastise, we don't need to pay much heed. So that's why Prabhupada said, what is it? I don't care for the world. I care only for my Guru and Krishna. I care for their opinion. I don't care for the world's opinion. So that is what we should be. So for his own thing, he took those words. How to tolerate? Oh, he took it and actually used this to his advantage, to strengthen. Of course, he's already pure devotee, but we can learn a lesson from this, that even if somebody says, oh, you are, rascal. Suppose, oh, you are a rascal. Yeah, I'm a rascal. You think I'm a saint? Yeah, I'm not. So, because millions of lives I've spent here, it is true that I'm a rascal. Why should I get so uptight about it? No, I don't need to. So, but at the same time, I should be merciful, help the other person if I can. He's talking out of his delirium, but if I can convince him of Krishna consciousness, use his delirious words to my advantage for my own purification, and but at the same time, purify myself also by preaching to him, if possible. Like Rahugana, this Jadabharat did to Rahugana. So Nityananda Prabhu did that. Madhai beat him, but he preached and saved him. So that is our example, that is our role model. This Jadabharat, Nityananda Prabhu, they are showing that even when they are being tortured, they are merciful. They did not stop being merciful. Where who is that? Shared yesterday that beautiful quote from Subhashita. I don't know what book is that though. It's a nice verse. Who has seen the verse? So he said, if you take an axe to cut the sandalwood tree won't protest. Plus, it makes the axe fragrant. So that's a devotee. Even if people come to axe him, so he will make them flavorful. So that's what Jadabharat did, right? For the offense that Rahugana did, there is no, he would have faced eternal damnation. But Jadabharat saved him from that by preaching to him, and then after that, when he realized his mistake, he fell flat at his feet and became disciple. So that is sorry. So that is the example we should take from this. So in this way we can be humble. How to be Tranadapi Sunichana Tarorapi Sahishna? He said, wear this verse on your kantha, like kanthahara. Devotees kanthahara. Women wear all this neck. What is it called? Choker. They're getting choked, but they want to look beautiful. So our choker is this. What is that? They call it a choker. Okay. So Hare Kṛṣṇa. Not this one. No. Tranadapi Sunichana. What is that? In Tranadapi Sunichana. Yeah. 31. Okay, so next verse, you see. ऊर्ध्व बाहु करे कहो सुन सर्वलोक नाम सूत्रे गांठी पर कंठे ए श्लोक. Raising my hands, I declare, everyone please hear me. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. But we cannot process the teachings very well. So therefore there are stories like this, where Trinadapi Sunichana, Tarorapi Sahishna, Amanina, Manadena. You see, all these are displayed by Jadabharat. He was humbler than the grass, more tolerant than the tree, gave all respect to Rahugana, and did not expect any respect. He took insult. All he did. Therefore, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, practical example of Trinadapi Sunichana. So, if we see examples like this, then it will reinforce this teaching. And then we can advance all the time, instead of a rattling of the sloka like a rattlesnake without any realization, we can remember all these pastimes which signify or which highlight this teaching. We should be humble, and we should also at the same time take the opportunity to preach. So like that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, Prakashananda Saraswati, he went and sat near the shoes, footwear. And then he preached after that. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he listened to his nonsense. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to his nonsensical explanations of. Then finally rebutted. So yeah, these are the lessons. So any questions or comments on this topic? Yes.
So he started with that.
Huh?
Did he teach the bhakti yoga?
What is that?
Like how Jagannath started teaching soul, body, all this. So he taught the bhakti yoga.
Yeah. Later you will see. He will teach everything. Rahugana completely understands everything after this. So Parashuram Prabhu is asking, what about the ninth offense, preaching to the faithless? So let's see what Krishna says. 326. न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसंगिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Then let's see what he says in 329. प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु तान् कृत्स्नविदो मन्दान् कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत्. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior to the performer's lack of knowledge. Are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. We should not unsettle them. What is that? So, here Prabhupada explains. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Such bewildered persons may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life as non-violence and similar materially benevolent work. Men here who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But there is a but. The devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. I'll show you another example of the engagement of diplomacy in Krishna service. Usually being diplomatic is not good, right? Yeah. See here, 1244, Madhya. Sri Ramananda Rai was indeed a diplomatic minister for the king. His general behavior was very expert, and simply by describing the king's love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gradually softened the Lord's mind. You know why I'm showing this? Because you see, the Lord said, don't preach. Prabhupada said, he knows the purpose of the Lord, so devotee is more kinder than the Lord and he will go and preach. Otherwise, what chance do they have? Otherwise, what chance would we have had if we were not preached to? If we were not interfered in our life by a devotee? We would have caused interference to everybody's lives. So, that is mercy. That's why it's called causeless mercy. There is no cause. There is no reason. That person did not deserve the mercy, but the devotee just gave the mercy. So So this means that the Lord is saying one thing, but the devotee in his service is doing a different thing. Right? That's why I'm showing you this. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to see Prataprudra, Maharaj Prataprudra, because he is dead against. Everybody was trying to convince him, no, I'm not going to see a materially opulent man, because he is showing, of course, that strict principles of a sannyasi. We should not be a sycophant to a materially opulent person, because otherwise then we will depend on him, and then we'll lose our purity. So we cannot associate with a materialist like this. And also he was dead against. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dead against. Now a devotee should be like, yeah, so we cannot go against God, so whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, fine. Okay, let Prataprudra go to hell. Right? So, but you see what? Sri Ramananda Rai was indeed a diplomatic minister for the king. His general behavior was very expert. And simply by describing the king's love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gradually softened the Lord's mind. He changed the Lord's mind. Because he was dead against. So every now and then, whenever he would get opportunity, he would say something nice about Prataprudra. How much he's anxious to meet the Lord, how much he loves the Lord. He always gives hints of how much. So gradually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not say anything yet, still. But in his mind, slowly it's being softened. So this is how diplomacy works. Even in, diplomats, countries' diplomats, how they negotiate deals. Even spies, when they try to hostage situation, terrorist is holding a person hostage, how to negotiate? You have to make the other person bend, right? You can't issue threats to the person, then he'll just shoot the people dead. So we have to soften his mind and agree to him at least some terms, somewhere or other, soften his mind to agree to work as you want him to do. So that is diplomacy. That kind of behavior with devotees is dangerous, because it's dangerous when it is employed in a way which is taking the devotee away from his spiritual life. But you see here, Ramananda Rai used his diplomacy in the service of the Lord. Let's see how he softened the mind. So purport, you see, a diplomat in the material world knows how to deal with people, especially in political affairs. Some of the great devotees of the Lord, like Ramananda Rai, Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Rupa Goswami, were government officers and had a background of very opulent householder life. Consequently, they knew how to deal with people. In many instances, we have seen the diplomacy of Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Ramananda Rai employed in the service of the Lord. When Raghunath Das Goswami's father and uncle were to be arrested by government officials, Raghunath Das Goswami hid them and personally met the government officers and settled the affair diplomatically. This is but one instance. Similarly, Sanatan Goswami, after resigning his ministership, was thrown in jail, and he bribed the attendant of the jail so he could leave the clutches of the Nawab. Bribery is part of diplomacy. Not, oh, this is not good, don't say this about Sanatan Goswami, otherwise people will have wrong impression. No, say it. Why? Because we have to know that these things, sometimes people ask, oh, can we lie for service? Well, in the sense that, can I tell my parents that I'm going for something else and go to temple? Can I lie like that, or should I be honest? Don't be stupidly honest like that. And if that gets into trouble, keep the peace at home and you be in one piece at the temple. Otherwise you'll be in pieces. So, and he bribed the attendant of jail so he could leave the clutches of the Nawab and live with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we see Ramananda Rai, a most confidential devotee of the Lord, diplomatically softened the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu despite the fact that the Lord definitely decided not to meet the king. The diplomacy of Ramananda Rai and entreaties of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and all the other great devotees succeeded. The conclusion is that diplomacy used for the service of the Lord is a form of devotional service. Now, Krishna said, don't preach to the faithless. Devotees will... Because Ramananda Rai knows what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar. Well, if he thinks that this Prataprudra is Patita, then he should be Pavana of Patita. So his real mission is that But of course, he's showing a principle that, scripture of sannyasis, but at the same time, his mission is to show mercy to the fallen, and especially such a person as Prataparudra, who is a great devotee. Well, Krishna dealt with Arjuna, who was a diplomat. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was in royalty. He himself was in royalty. He attempted diplomacy with Duryodhan. Nothing worked. War. So, so diplomacy has its place in devotional service, but one must be advanced enough to be able to do this, because we cannot use this diplomacy to, this diplomacy was used to give mercy. This diplomacy used to give mercy. Just like I'll give you another one. This is not exactly diplomacy, but the principle is the same. Where rules are one thing, but devotee goes above the rules to show mercy. Mercy. You see? What? Yeah. And even if he's like, okay, Nityananda Prabhu preached once to Jagai and Madhai, hopeless cases, but he continued preaching. Hit him, blood came, continued preaching. Of course, we should know how to do this. Otherwise, if we try to imitate Nityananda Prabhu, if somebody beat us, chant, head cut off. So, can't imitate, but we need to know the tact of doing things. Krishna will give intelligence if we are sincere. Now, you see here, after hearing this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why did Ishwar Puri keep a servant who comes from a Shudra family? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and my spiritual master, Ishwar Puri, are completely independent. Therefore, neither the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead nor that of Ishwar Puri is subject to any Vedic rules and regulations. What is not subject? The mercy of the devotee, of the spiritual master, is not subject to Vedic rules and regulations. So, in order to extend mercy, sometimes they flout the rules. It's not exactly flouting the rule. It is in spirit of the law. It is in spirit of the rule that they're doing it. But may not be exactly the words, the obedience of the exact words. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm not going to see Prataparudra, don't bring him to me. If they were to obey, if they were to be absolutely obedient, they should not have brought Prataparudra. But Ramananda Rai softened his heart because he knows finally, he's there for showing mercy. Mahavadanya. So, so this is diplomacy in the service of the Lord. So similarly, a devotee preaching to the faithless may be the injunction, but he will try to push the limit a little bit more. Of course, if he is absolutely, this thing, then he will stay away. That is foolishness if we still persist and, there's no chance of that person and that person is just becoming more and more offensive then. But, we should try not just a little bit like that. You should try a little bit, push the boundary a little bit, how much I can push. Okay. If it works, okay, good. If it doesn't, fine, go your way, I'll go my way, I'll spend my time with someone else where it is more productive. Okay, so any other comments or questions? Yeah. Because if you continue to preach to the faithless, if they become more offensive, then you are actually being an agent to increase their offenses instead of making them surrender to Krishna. So you are making them more and more offensive to the Lord. So that is an offense. So that's why it is an offense. But devotees will try as much as possible to, because who is not offensive? And everybody is offensive. Some are less, some are more. So he will see how much it can work out. If it can, it's good. Otherwise, he will just ignore. You know. And preaching, if you think of preaching as not just one interaction with that person, if it's over time, you see what Prabhupada has done. He went to the West. They were eating cows. I mean, and very offensive. I mean, in every way, the lifestyle is offensive, lifestyle, everything. But he went there and he did not preach first. Sometimes preaching may not even work. Give prasadam, give holy name, let them do some seva, something like that. When they have a little more favorable attitude towards the movement, then slowly things can be introduced. So these things soften their heart a little bit. Not soften their heart means not compromise in any way. Soften their heart with prasadam. That's the kind of compromise we're talking about. Not compromise. I mean softening. Not bending our philosophy to soften his heart. No. But give him some prasadam. Prabhupada said many people may not be able to digest the philosophy, but they will definitely digest prasadam. So give him prasadam, slowly they will digest. And as the saying goes, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So slowly, oh, these people are nice people after all. They give me good food. So and slowly, it will purify. It's not just a diplomatic device. It is purifying also at the same time, because prasadam will purify that person. Hopefully, whatever we can do, we should do. How much of the best? After that, if it's still not, okay, fine. So any other questions? All right. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur.